We're at a tipping point in this pandemic. Not only is the second wave underway, yesterday we hit the highest daily recorded cases, well above what we saw this spring. I know this is discouraging, especially going into Thanksgiving weekend. But remember this, when things were at their bleakest during the first wave, Canadians pulled together and flattened the curve. Every time you wear a mask, every time you stay home when going out is unnecessary, every time you help a friend download the COVID Alert app, you are part of the solution. We flattened the curve before, we can do it again. And now we have even more tools to help us. On Tuesday, Minister Anand and Minister Haidu announced that the government has signed an agreement with Abbott Rapid Diagnostics for up to 20.5 million rapid tests. The COVID Alert app is up and running in 8 out of 10 provinces, now including PEI, and has been downloaded more than 4 million times. The more people use the app, the more powerful this tool will become. It's another way for each of us to do our part to protect our loved ones, our neighbors, and our fellow Canadians. Les augmentations de nouveaux cas exercent une énorme pression sur les hôpitaux et sur les travailleurs.
Pressure on hospitals and healthcare workers that are more and more overwhelmed. Together, we managed to flatten the curve in the spring, and we can do it again, especially now that we have even more tools at our disposal. Tuesday, Minister Anand and Minister Haidu announced an agreement that will allow us to procure up to 25.5 million rapid tests. In addition, 8 out of 10 provinces, including Quebec and PEI, have now agreed to the free app that has been downloaded more than 4 million times in the country. And the more it's used, the more this tool will be useful. It's a way for all of us to protect our loved ones, our neighbors, and our first-line workers. So I invite you to download the app quickly. Now.
Our top priority is keeping Canadians safe as we support people through this storm. This morning, we received the news that 378,000 jobs were added to the economy in September as the unemployment rate continues to go down. This is good news for a lot of people, but we also know that there's still lots more work to be done. Earlier this week, Canadians could begin accessing the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit and the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit for people who are not covered at work if they get COVID-19 or if a family member gets sick. Next week, applications will also open for the Canada Recovery Benefit, which is replacing CERB for those who can't access EI. At the same time, we're also looking at how else we can support businesses, as we outlined in the throne speech. Today, we are announcing new support for Canadian businesses so that they can keep workers on the job and get through the coming months. Deputy Prime Minister Freeland will provide more details, but here's the bottom line. Even if many businesses have now reopened, most are not back to full capacity, while many others are facing the uncertainty of a second wave. Our goal is to support Canadian employers and help businesses bridge to better times. That's why we are updating support for commercial rent and mortgage payments with the new Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy. This will provide support to businesses directly, not through landlords. For businesses who've seen a revenue drop, the new rent subsidy can support up to 65% of eligible expenses and up to 90% for businesses temporarily shut down by a mandatory second wave public health order. At the same time, we are extending the wage subsidy at a rate of up to 65% of eligible wages to December and expanding the Canada Emergency Business Account for those small businesses that need it, including with an additional $10,000 forgivable loan. We'll also work to target financial support directly to businesses that have temporarily shut down as a result of local public health directions. We know this second wave will be even harder for those who get hit. That's why our response needs to be targeted and effective. Small and large businesses create jobs, drive our economy, and make our communities stronger. Our government will continue to do whatever it takes to support them. Comme on l'a mentionné lors du discours du trône,
As was mentioned in the throne speech, our government will continue to support businesses going through difficult times in this crisis. This morning, we learned that 378,000 jobs were added to the economy in September, and that the unemployment rate continues to drop. This is good news, but there is still much work left to be done. Though many companies are open again, the economy is not firing on all cylinders again yet, and many businesses are suffering from uncertainty because of the second wave. That is why we are adjusting our programs, creating a new Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy. This support will go directly to businesses that have lost income because of the crisis. The benefit could reach up to 65% of eligible expenses and 90% for companies that need to temporarily shut down following local authorities' public health orders. We are also extending the wage subsidy, going up to 65% of eligible wages until December, and the business account by adding $10,000 in forgivable loans for small businesses that need it. We are also planning targeted financial aid for businesses that must temporarily close to fight outbreaks. We know that the second wave will be even more difficult for those who are affected. Our response needs to be targeted and effective. For many people, Thanksgiving is a time to share a nice meal with friends and family. Even if this year that tradition is upheaved, we can't forget that there are Canadians who are living with serious food insecurity. This sad reality was accentuated by the pandemic. In April, we announced an investment of $100 million to make food services more accessible for Canadians in need. Today, I announced that we will spend, or rather invest in an additional $100 million locally and regionally. These funds will flow through the Emergency Food Security Fund of Canada, and Minister Bibeau will be giving more details in a few moments. This morning, I went to the grocery store in order to buy food to donate to a food bank, and I was told a few tips regarding donations. I know that many Canadians are thinking about those in need during this time of Thanksgiving. It is easiest for food banks when we donate certain items, so I encourage you to look into this. The government encourages everyone to reach out to those most vulnerable, and we encourage everyone to do their part.
$100 million in emergency funding to help food banks and community organizations with their vital work. Today, I can announce that we're putting another $100 million towards supporting food banks, local food security organizations, Indigenous groups serving vulnerable people and communities, and partners for Northern communities. Last night, I had a video call with Food Banks Canada and got to hear from incredible volunteers and staff from right across the country. They do remarkable work supporting vulnerable Canadians every day, and that includes this Thanksgiving weekend. No one should be left behind, regardless of where they live. In July, when we finalized the Safe Restart Agreement, the federal government and the First Ministers recognized that smaller jurisdictions face distinct challenges and circumstances. Today, I can announce that additional top-up funds of over $37 million will be included in the first payments to the territories under this agreement. A supplemental $41.4 million will also go towards air carriers to ensure essential air services to remote communities in the north. Minister LeBlanc will have more details in a few minutes, but I want to especially thank MPs Larry Bagnall and Michael McLeod and our Minister of Northern Affairs, Dan Vandal, for their leadership and their important work on supporting our northern communities.
I know the long weekend is coming up, and many people are disappointed not to be able to get together. Thanksgiving this year will be different, but we are all committing together to do everything we can to slow the spread of the virus over the coming weeks so that we can have a chance to get together in person at Christmas with our loved ones. Every time that you wear a mask, every time that you stay at home when it's not necessary to go out, every time you help a friend to download the COVID Alert app, you're part of the solution.
May be temporarily changed by this pandemic, but our resilience and our determination remain strong. What we do now will shape the numbers we see in 2 weeks and set us, hopefully, on the right track for family gatherings at Christmas. So let's work together and let's flatten the curve. Merci.